Evening learners. These notes are just a reminder of what to keep in mind when you are writing English Home Language Paper 3. By now, you know that this paper is very important for you because it can help improve your mark if you write it well. By now, you all know how this paper is structured, that it is divided into section A, where you write one essay, and section B, where you write 2 transactional writing pieces. So why is paper 3 the most important paper for you? It consists of the highest marks. It's easiest to write. It is creative writing, so you do not have to recall facts you have read, except the process of writing and formats, of course. The total mark for this paper is 100 marks, whereas for paper 1 it's 70 marks and for paper 2, 80 marks. If you get high marks in this paper, you are likely to pass well, as it will boost your paper 1 and your paper 2 marks. I know that all of you know what the process of writing is. However, some of you are still leaving things out when they are writing. So I'll just go over it again with you. You're going to choose a topic. And then you are going to brainstorm for ideas. Then you will write your first draft. Brainstorming and writing your first draft are called your planning. And your planning, by the way, and your contents consists of 30 marks. So do not skip these 2 steps. These 2 steps are very important. Third step, you are going to edit. What do you do when you edit? You are improving your writing. You are removing things that are irrelevant. You are redoing your paragraphs. You are adding other ideas that you think you might have left out that you should have added. You are using adjectives and adverbs to enrich your writing, and then you proofread. What do you do when you proofread? In step number 4, you are checking for your grammatical errors. You're checking that your punctuation is right, your spelling is right, your use of capital letters and small letters is right, that your concord is correct, tenses are correct. And then, once you are done, you write your final draft. Please, when you write your first draft, title it as the first draft. When you write your final draft, its title is final draft. Write it there. When you are done writing, put a line across the first draft. Remember, your final draft must be a better version of the first, not a clean copy. You are not supposed to write exactly what you wrote in the first draft, but neatly. No, there must be an improvement from what you wrote in your first draft and in your second or your final draft. Use a blue pen even in your first draft. And when you are done, put a line across it to emphasize that the first draft is the first, so that the markers can be clear on which draft is first and which is last. Do not place your mind map or your brainstorming after you have already written. You must plan first. If you plan first, your ideas will flow easily. If you write first, it will show because your writing will be haphazard. It won't have a logical sequence. But if you plan first, you will make more sense and get better marks than someone who pretends that they have planned and they put their mind map or brainstorm last. Even if you can put it first, but you did not plan, you wrote and then you try to fill in the ideas afterwards, it will show. They sometimes say planning. Not planning is actually planning to fail. So plan, follow the correct process of writing when you are writing your paper 3. What should you keep in mind when you are writing your paper 3? Write in paragraphs. Don't write one long thing like a bus. Write in paragraphs. Your writing should look like a train, not a bus. Use capital letters and small letters correctly. Some learners write everything in caps and some write everything in small letters. Start each sentence with a capital letter. Write the names of people in capital. Start the names of people in capital letters, the names of the week, the year, the names of places, proper nouns should start with a capital letter. Also, the personal pronoun I should be written in a capital letter. Do not write it in a small letter like some learners do. Do not lose marks for silly mistakes like that. Use your punctuation correctly. Do not write without punctuation. There are still some people who write and there's no punctuation anywhere. Do not overuse exclamation marks. There are learners who will put 3 exclamation marks. Just use 1 exclamation mark. At the end of every sentence, there should be a full stop. Please check your use of the apostrophe. Remember that it shows belonging, and it is also used when during contraction. Do not use it for anything else. It is not used. The apostrophe is not used to show the plural of things. Please relook that use of that particular punctuation mark. Check your spelling. Use adjectives and adverbs to enrich your writing. Adjectives and adverbs are describing words. So if you're talking about a dress, tell us the color of the dress. If you're telling us that someone was running, say if they were running slowly or fast. That will enrich your writing. Do not just write he was running or he was wearing a dress. Help us to picture how the dress looked like by using adjectives and adverbs. Help us to see how the action of whatever was being done was done by using your adverbs. Check your grammar. Write legibly. Some learners write so small and they write in cursive writing that we cannot see what they've written. You will lose marks if people can't see what you have written. You can't get marks if no one knows what you are saying. Write clearly so that everyone can see that what you have written. Indicate the number of the words that you have written at the end of each writing. Remember that at the end of your exam, you must have 3 pieces. You must have 1 essay and 2 transactional writing pieces. 1 essay and 2 transactional writing pieces. All in all, 3. Okay. Check your tenses. Don't interchange tenses unnecessarily. If you're writing in the past tense, keep to the past tense. If you're writing in the present tense, keep to the present tense. Be consistent with your pronouns. If you are going to write, one must respect one's parents. Throughout your writing, you are going to use one. Don't suddenly say you, one, and then there you say you. If you're writing about you must respect your parents, then you keep to that. If you are writing she did this, she did that, don't suddenly say he, and now we are wondering whether you're now talking about another person. Stick to your pronouns when you are writing your paper 3. Now let's look at your section A, which is your essay writing. You are going to be given a number of topics and you are going to choose only one essay topic. This question consists of 50 marks. You are going to do your brainstorming, write your first draft. Both of those, brainstorming and writing first draft, that's your planning. And it consists of a whopping 30 marks. Only after editing and proofreading can you then write your final draft to get the rest of your 20 marks. Section A has questions 1 up to 6. In questions 1 up to 5, you're given different topics to choose from. But in question 6, you are given 2 or 3 pictures, drawings, cartoons, or any other graphics to respond to. Section B is your transactional writing question. You are going to choose any 2 transactional topics of your choice. The marks for this section are 25 per transactional writing piece. And then the total mark for this section is 50 because you are writing 2 of them. You should know your formats in this section. Please revise them. You have learned many different types of transactional writing since grade 10, but if you want to get very good marks, please choose only from the ones with simple formats, which are the following. You can write the speech or the dialogue, the interview, the informal or friendly letter, and if you find that you have no other choice, you can write the formal letter, but leave the letter to the press or other transactional topics alone, as you are likely to forget the format when you are under exam stress. I know that some learners want to write the obituary, they want to write the CV, they want to write other things, the report, whatever. But these are your simple transactional writing texts where you can get the most marks, where you are unlikely to make many mistakes. So we are looking at you getting the highest marks, not you trying to prove to us that you know all these other complicated texts. Write the simplest ones. You know, from grade 8, you've always written the speech. You've always written a dialogue. You've always written an interview. You've written a friendly letter before. So choose those simple ones. And the speech, you just have to greet, and then you have your say, and please write it in paragraphs as well. And have your say, and don't deviate from the topic, because some learners, they write so well, but they are not writing about what they were asked to write about. Make sure that you are sticking to the topic. And then after that, you say thank you. Remember to write the full number of words that you are expected to write. I have seen when I was marking that some of you write very little, but expect to get good marks. Please give your best. You want to get a good mark for English home language. Let's revise some of the formats that you already know so very well. Dialogue is a conversation between 2 or more people. It's a record of the exchanges as they occur directly from the speaker's point of view. When you write it, write the names of the characters on the left side of the page. Use a colon after the name of the character who is speaking. Use a new line to indicate each new speaker. Advise to the characters or readers on how to speak or present the action must be given in brackets before the words are spoken. Sketch a scenario before you start writing. It means you are going to tell us, you're going to explain what you are going to write about. You just explain what is happening. You set the scene for us before you write. Some learners want to know if they should skip a line between each line of the people talking. You can do that, but even if you do not skip a line, it is still fine as long as the format is correct. This is an example of a dialogue. You can see that there is the setting of the scenario in between brackets, and then you can see that the names of the people in conversation are on the left, and that columns are used before their lines, and that the directions are written, or the explanations of how they are acting are in between brackets. As you know, the structure of the interview and the dialogue are the same. The only difference is that with an interview, one person is asking questions from another. That's the only difference. But how you write them, the format is the same. The names of the speaker are given on the left side of the page. A colon is used after the name of the character who's speaking, and a new line is used to indicate each new speaker, just like in the dialogue. And then I have given you an example of it in the next slide. This, as you can see, is another example, but this one is an example of the interview. And if you look at the dialogue and the interview, they're more or less the same. The difference is that this one now, the other one is one person is asking questions from the other, but the layout, as you can see, is the same. Now, how do you write an address for your letter? I want you to use a 3-line address. It means 3 steps. There are others who will have 4 lines. I want you to write a 3-line address. It is the easiest, and you are likely to remember it easier than other forms of addresses. In the first line of your address, you write a street number, or a postal box number, or a private bag number. That is in the first line of your address. Remember to write the number first when you are writing a street address. But when you are writing a postal box address or a private bag address, you write the number afterwards. Remember also that you must choose which one you will write. You cannot write both a street address and a postal address or a private bag address in the same address. It's either you will have a street number address or a postal box number address or a private bag number address. You can't have them both in one. In your second line, you are going to write the area or the city name. And in the third line, you are going to write the postal code. The following are your examples. As you can see, you will write either a street address, or a postal box address, or a private bag address, or a building address, and you use 3 steps, where the first one is the number of the place you are sending the letter to, the second is the area, and the last one is the postal code. This is the structure of a friendly or formal letter. There must be only one address, the writer's, with the date in which it was written below it. And then you will have an informal or semi-formal salutation like dear Jerry, dear Aunt Julia, dear father, dear and mother, etc. That will follow the writer's address. All letters should have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. The language register is informal, and the conclusion ranges from informal to semi-formal. Yours sincerely, your loving son, followed by the writer's name. In a friendly letter, you do not have to write your surname or put a signature. It's not important. Issues to avoid when writing an informal letter. Slang and colloquial language. It doesn't mean that because it's informal, then you can write your slang or your colloquial language. Do not use contractions or abbreviations and acronyms. Write in full. For example, if you want to say I cannot, say I cannot. Don't say I can't. Do not say I don't. Say I do not. Instead of saying we'll get there, say we will get there or we shall get there. Do not use contractions, abbreviations, or acronyms. Write in full. Do not use SMS or mixed text or and foul language. Do not swear. This is an example of an informal or friendly letter. This is an example of a business or formal letter. As you know, it has 2 addresses. The first one is your own address with the date, and the second address is the address of the place you are writing to. And then you've got your salutation as dear sir or madam, because you do not know who you are writing to. You've got a subject line of why you are writing that letter. You've got your introduction, body, conclusion, and then you say yours faithfully, and you put your signature, and you write your initials and your surname, and you put your title. Remember, in a nutshell, the paper consists of 2 sections. Section A is essay writing. You learned different types of essays: narrative, descriptive, expository, etc. From grade 8 up to 12. In your questions, these types won't be mentioned, but your topics will show you which essay you are actually writing. And then question 6 is the visual response question, and your response must correlate with your picture. You can't choose a picture and be irrelevant in your essay. In section A, you answer only 1 question. You are going to be writing 400 to 450 words, 2 to 2.5 pages. Please try to write at least 400 words. That will be at least 2 pages. Try to do that. Do not cheat yourself. You need to make sure that you do well in this paper. In section B, transactional writing, you answer only 2 questions. only choose the simple topics. That is your speech, dialogue, interview, friendly letter, and if there's no friendly letter, business letter. Please look at the format. Do not, however, write the letter to the press. It's difficult for most learners to remember the format. Avoid silly mistakes like not writing in paragraphs, like not planning, like punctuation marks not being there, like using capital letters wrongly, like writing your pronoun I in a small letter. You are writing 180 to 200 words, and your marks per question are 25, and your grand total for this paper is 100. Thank you. Good luck, my beautiful children. I love you very much. Go out there and give your best.